is here. He's coming as usual. He's finishing up his cup of decaf for the evening, so he'll be joining us in just a second. Tonight we're going to talk about, just kind of wrap up the end of the year of the canning pantry. I did a lot of canning this year, and I tried a lot of new things. And I think I'm kind of starting to settle into this groove where there's things that I've realized just aren't worth the effort to can. Let me turn the volume off on this here. There we go. And so we'll talk about things that are definitely that we did new this year that we're definitely going to probably do every year, and things that we're just probably never going to do again, or do some variation changes that didn't work out as well as we thought. And yeah, we're going to talk about those things. I think it'll be fun. I'm interested in hearing about, too, if you guys tried anything new this year, what things you're loving and what things felt like kind of a waste of effort for you. So, yeah. Things going good?
Yep. We're hanging in there.
So, Lois is here from Ohio. Welcome. And Sharon from Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. All right. I guess we can go ahead and get started. Welcome, Veronica. Thanks for joining us. Do you have anything you want to say before we get started?
About our canning pantry?
Yeah. Other than it needs more shelves?
Yeah, that's true. No, I'll tell people my contribution to this, because the canning stuff tester is your baby. I'll tell people my favorite thing that you can at the end of the video.
I guessed.
Oh, you already know. Can
we start with it?
I mean, it's easy for you. Right? I think I've said it before, so.
Let's see. Tessa is here. Grammy is here. Welcome. Excuse me. Becky is here.
And Beth.
Thanks for joining us. Okay, so I'll start with two things that we've canned for a long time, but I think are Sam's favorite.
Okay.
And if I guessed wrong, you can tell him what is your favorite. So the first one is the hamburger stew, which is hamburger, carrots, potatoes, onions, and tomato juice. And then when I warm it up, a lot of times we'll add peas. Sometimes I add noodles. Sometimes we put some cheese on top. You can add a lot of noodles and it becomes like a goulash because it's really thick. So you always really like that for lunch. And then the traditional beef stew. So stew beef, or not even stew beef. I just get like a beef roast, carrots, potatoes, onions, and you just add boiling water and can it all together. It makes a beef broth. Is that your favorite one?
Yes. It literally, it tastes better after it's been canned and like sat in the jar for 6 months than it does fresh. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so good. It's like the best thing. We've been outside and it's cold and nasty. We've been like working outside and stuff, and then you come in to a bowl full of that with like some fresh homemade biscuits or rolls or something like that. Ooh, it's so good. It's my favorite.
Charlie and Judy are here. Welcome. Arkansas Prepper, and Phyllis is here from Kansas. Thanks for joining us.
The whole quart myself.
Yes, he could. And the nice thing with the beef stew is it's really easy because you raw pack it. By the way, all of these things that we're going to talk about today, I have linked our canning pantry videos at the playlist below. So anything that we've canned today, there's a video on it. It's in that playlist. So if you're like, I'd like to try that, just click on that playlist and all the videos will load for you. And they're usually titled the name of the item. So it should be really easy to find.
Let's see. Beth is here. She says, we actually made it home for the live this week. Hello from Kansas. And Kathy is here from Virginia. Yes. Thanks for joining us.
So I was going to say the beef stew is so easy. So if you make beef stew from scratch at home, usually takes you a couple hours because you got to get that beef nice and tender. But with canning it, you don't have to do any cooking beforehand. I dice onions, I dice potatoes, carrots, and then I chop up some sort of beef roast. I don't even buy the best quality beef roast because 90 minutes in a canner will make a tire tender. And so you don't need, the really expensive stew beef to do this. But I layer them all in the jar, and then I add boiling hot water to the jar, and then you put your prepared lids and rings on, and you can the quarts 90 minutes. You don't have to do any cooking beforehand. So it makes beef stew really fast. And then when you're ready to eat it, I just dump this in the pan. I might add a little bit of flour cornstarch if you want to thicken it up a bit. And I do put salt in the jars too. There's salt in here too. But and then it just warm it up and it's ready to eat. So
it is so good. You will not be sorry. Let's see. Florence is here, the tinkerer's wife. Hello. And Anne is here from Western Missouri.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for hopping on, everybody.
It reminds me of canning beef when my son was tiny. Tough meat turned so tender. Yes, and we butchered a goat last year that was not a meat goat. It was a dairy goat, and her meat was just kind of stringy and not the best. And I ended up canning it all in barbecue sauce, and now it is like so tender. Like canning can take your not best quality meat and really tenderize it. Obviously, if it's just bad meat, you don't want to can that. But things that are, maybe less than perfect as far as like the marbling and the meat and stuff, canning will hide a lot of that.
Sharon says, I like the beef stew, looks like yours, but I don't like the chicken version.
Okay. I've never tried. I'm not really canned chicken.
Yeah, not really.
No.
You've mostly done beef, I would say, and some pork.
Yeah, I can a lot of beef and pork, our lamb and our goats, but I've never really canned much chicken because chicken, we don't. Well, in the last couple of years, we haven't raised any butchering chickens, or when we did raise them, we just froze them whole. And so chicken is usually very expensive at the store, I feel like. So we don't buy. I don't feel like we eat a lot of chicken. Every once in a while, I'll buy a whole chicken on sale, and we'll cook that in the crock pot. But let's see. Susanna's here. Becky says, love canning venison. I find canning takes the gaminess out of it. And we also found with the goat that canning it took out some of that goat hormone flavor. I don't even know how to describe it. Goat has goats sometimes taste like they smell. That's my best way. But canning it seemed to take away a lot of that for me. So, yeah, Raciel says 13 thumbs up. So if you think about it, give us a thumbs up. It helps us in the algorithm a bit. So, all right, so let's talk about a couple things that we canned and we really pleasantly surprised, like definitely going to do this again. But the first one I was on the fence about. It's the rotel. So we home canned rotel, but I made it out of frozen tomatoes. So I froze our tomatoes from the garden, and then when I had time, I made the rotel. And I was a little worried because when you freeze tomatoes, they get a little bit mushy, and so it's not as chunky as store-bought rotel. Mm-hmm. But the kids love it. I have been making rotel with this instead of store-bought rotel for months now, and nobody has said two things about it being different. It tastes exactly the same. And so I think next year I will make it with fresh tomatoes. Like I'll just pick a bunch on the same day and make them fresh so the tomatoes hold their form a little bit better so you get the nice chunks. But taste-wise, this is like, I feel like it's an exact match, and that's really hard to do. There's things that you buy at the store that you just can't seem to
replicate,
remake at home in the kitchen, but this one came out really well, and the kids love rotel. If I could only figure out how to make Velveeta for home, so we don't have to spend $9 on a log of Velveeta. And I did try the off-brand Velveeta once, and it was like eating plastic, so gotta buy the real thing.
Yeah, the kids do love rotel. It's very rarely is there much left over. They pound it, get some chips, and
which is surprising to me because our kids do not like things that are spicy. And rotel's got a little bit of a kick.
There's some things they will eat though that are really spicy and they don't care. I don't know. They're weird. Some things that I don't know. I feel like if it's like cinnamon spicy kind of stuff, they don't like that. But if it's like peppers spicy, they will tolerate that sometimes.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's the way.
Yeah, they don't. Our kids don't like cinnamon, which Grammy, who's here, probably just fell off the couch because Grammy loves cinnamon, cinnamon everything. But my kids think cinnamon is really spicy. They don't even really like how it smells, which. So we don't eat a lot of cinnamon
let's
things.
see. We got a thumbs up from Sharon. Phil says, I'm canning venison broth while listening to you. I bet that smells really good. And Susanna says, Laura, when is your due date near Christmas Eve?
My due date's actually right around the first of the year, but I think it's wrong. I don't really, at this point, I've had enough babies. I don't really care if it's not exact at the doctor's office. The baby's going to come when baby wants to come. But I think that's a week too late. I think my due date should be more like Christmas Day. So we'll see when the baby decides to come. I had a non-stress test today because I'm old, and it went well and everything looks good. So we just keep plugging along, doing what we're doing.
Yep. And Kelly is here from Alabama.
Welcome. So this was one I canned just for, because you guys told me to. And I almost didn't do it because I was like, I don't know that I will use it. And now it is my absolute pregnancy craving. I could put this on everything. And when Sam's not home for lunch, I do put it on a lot of things because he's not here to judge me. Because sometimes put it on noodles and it sounds good. But this is green tomato chow chow, which I never heard of growing up. I grew up on the East Coast and it was just not a thing people ate or did, but apparently it's somewhat common in the South. A lot of people put cabbage in it too, which I didn't really know until after, but I just used a real basic recipe out of my Kerr canning book, which is like 40 years old, so this recipe's from the 1980s. But it's just like the green tomatoes, it's got some spices, got some onions and some peppers in it, and a lot of vinegar. It's kind of like a relish, but it's chunkier and has a little more of a kick to it, and it is really good. And I will definitely do that every year with our green tomatoes because I really like it. I like it on sandwiches. I like it on beans. I could eat it with chips. So
I don't know. I thought it was good, but I don't know that I would say it was great.
So
it's not 100% my cup of tea.
It is. You're not as big in the tangy. Like I really like sauerkraut. You're not big in that kind of. I liked kimchi. You weren't super big into that. So I like fermented tasting things. It's not really your thing. So
that's very true. Let's see, Anne. We didn't get her.
Anne says I've seen recipes for homemade Velveeta, but the amount of cheese used for a 2-pound block would almost be equal in cost.
I bet. Yeah.
And Grammy says it was very good. Yes, I always mail Grandpa Dan and Grammy packages of sample size home canned items for them to try because they see the videos. And then I send them some. The Tinkerer's Wife said, I have a channel follow that the guy's total food nerd and makes Velveeta. I have seen, excuse me, and Anne said before, I have seen videos where people make Velveeta, and I thought about it. But when I looked at what the cost would be, plus the time, you do save a little bit of money, but it's 50 cents. So I don't know that it's worth the amount of time it would take me.
Right.
Unless cheese prices change and Velveeta gets a lot more expensive.
Right.
So Susanna says, glad everything is doing good regarding baby. Sounds like you're ready. And my mom always wanted pickled pig's feet when pregnant. I always crave tangy things.
When we lived in town, specifically with Mike, when Micah was born.
Oh, yeah.
Laura's go-to thing that she always wanted was a sauerkraut hot dog
from
Sonic. I don't know why, but that was her thing.
Good. I don't even know that they sell those anymore.
I don't know, but that was your thing, man.
Okay.
Wasn't it?
Angela's here. Welcome. But I will say this year, and I've mentioned this on a short before, I have had a horrible time with Kerr canning lids. Look at that. So this chow chow is going to get used up probably next week. They have, I'd say 50% of them buckled, and it's only these Kerr. I bought a whole pack of Kerrs at Walmart thinking, it's a name brand, I'm going to get a good quality product versus Walmart has their brand, which I think is Harvest Gold, or is it Anchor Glass, something like that. Spent the extra money, bought a whole case of those, and every other one of them buckles, whether it's water bath canning or pressure canning, and it's super frustrating. So I don't know if anyone else has had that trouble. I've had zero problems with ball lids or with the Harvest Gold, the off-brand, but the Kerr lids have been an absolute disaster, so I think I will probably never buy those again because they're not selling a quality product anymore.
The Tinkerer's Wife likes sauerkraut, too.
Yes, sauerkraut. I've made sauerkraut a couple times, but
yeah, not very often.
Very often. It smells up the whole kitchen, and I'm the only one who eats it.
It's true.
So when I make it, then you're like, well, I got 4 jars of sauerkraut now. I got to eat in the next month. So
Diane is here too.
Welcome.
Good to see you.
Okay, another new one we did this year. Maybe we did it first last year, but now I do it all the time. The baby carrots. Yeah, Becky says, I've had issue with Kerr and Golden Harvest, only buying ball from now on. Yeah, I can't. Every once in a while you're going to get a bad lid in a set, but when it's, been through a whole case worth of different box lids with different lot numbers and they're all doing that, they're not, I can't spend all that time canning things if they're not going to be shelf stable for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a waste of my time. So Homestead Nana said hello from Massachusetts. People always, and when I post this and post it shorts, I get a lot of comments being like, well, kind of like, what a waste of time. Why would you do that? I don't know why. I just love this. Like, I drain them and I make honey carrots. And as far as canning goes, you don't have to peel and dice. So I wait until baby carrots are on sale, which happens every once in a while. They'll be selling like 2 packs for $1. Walmart does that sometimes. And then I'll like buy a whole bunch and I'll can them. So they're pretty cheap as far as per ounce goes. And then I can them, and then they're already cooked. I just dump them in a pan and warm them up, and then you can butter them, or you can add honey. You can throw them in like a soup or a stew. Use them in casseroles, and it's just super convenient. I don't know why I love them so much, but it's one of my favorites, and we run through them really fast. Mm-hmm. So
who else we got? Homestead Nana is here from Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. The Tinker's Wife says, we all ate it growing up. Dad made it and Mom canned it. Now I make raw fermented kraut. So good.
Yeah.
Have the Tatler lids held up?
Yeah, so far, I think most of them have been used 3 or 4 times, and they're still in good shape. I would love to have more eventually. You kind of add to the collection. It is a big money investment, and I figured it out once. It takes 10 uses to make your money back. So most jars you'll open, like you kind of open one, like you'll use it once a year basically, I think in most cases, because you can, and then you open your jars. So that's a long time to wait for your reimbursement, but I think eventually then it's cool. You don't have to go buy lids.
Do they have how many uses you can get out of each lid, or how many years it's good for?
They're good until the rubber is brittle, which a lot of that depends on how you store them. So if you do invest in them, you want to make sure you read the instructions carefully about how to care for them, because like I said, you'll use it and then you'll open that jar and you may not need to use it to can again for 6 months. You want to make sure you have proper storage so that your rubber rings stay nice and flexible for canning.
Susanna says baby carrots are great, and Arkansas Prepper says I like Bavarian sauerkraut.
I don't even know what that is. You have to tell us how that's different.
Oh, okay. Tinker's Wife says Heidi over at Rain Country has used them for years and has info on how long they lasted for her.
Awesome. I will say I've never had a seal failure with a Tatler lid, which is good. Which is nice, and I never had a buckle problem, obviously, because it's a real thick plastic, so that's nice. And they're very easy to open without damaging the lid. So, I have no complaints. Just interested to see how long they actually last. So.
Iris Lady says, I've been using Tattlers for at least 15 years now, so that's really good use. Nice. That's cool.
I really like my Weck jars, which are all glass. Even the lid is glass. They're just so cool. They're just nice looking jars too, which I know it doesn't really matter what your stuff looks like really on the shelf.
Pretty,
but it's pretty. But they are stupid expensive. They are not an American jar. They're imported from Europe. They're much more common in Europe, from what I understand, where ball jars are very expensive to get in Europe. Kind of the reverse.
That's funny.
And so, but they are cool, and they're 100%. Every part is reusable. There's no disposable part in them. So if you have some money to throw around, Weck, W-E-C-K, canning jars are really neat, and it's 100% reusable, and they look really nice on your shelf.
How does it seal?
It has a rubber ring that goes between the glass lid and the glass jar.
But the rubber never...
And then there's 2 little metal clips that hold it on. But as long as you take care of your rubber, according to instructions, it should last a lifetime. So,
wow.
Yeah, Weck are like the Cadillacs of canning jars. But man, they're pretty. And they come in, sometimes it gets a little complicated because they come in metric sizes. Oh. So the sizing's different. So you got to watch. You always need to size. You always want to go up. So like if it's between a pint and a quart, you would need to use your quart canning time.
Do you have one? I could show. You not have anything canned in them yet?
I have cranberry sauce, but you might have to. You could see if you find one, dig around on the shelf a little bit. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They're buried in there. So, let's see. Here in Ohio, there's a company in Sugar Creek make good canning. I think lids, not legs. It's called Superb. So far, they've all looked. Okay, I'll have to look that up. And Arkansas Prepper says the difference between Bavarian sauerkraut and regular German sauerkraut is that the Bavarian one is milder. I might have to look that up. Maybe you would like that better.
Here's a Weck.
Yeah, it's a weck jar. So when you can it, a clip goes on the outside to hold it together, and then you pop your clips off and store them. And when you want to open the jar, this actually I like better. If there's one thing that I think would improve Tattler lids, I wish they had this really long rubber piece like these do, because when you need to open a jar, all you do is pull really hard, like you're pulling a piece of gum out of your mouth that goes really far, and then that pops the jar open. The Tattlers, I don't think either they have a really short or they don't have any little tongue. I can't remember, and so you kind of have to use a spoon to open them. But that's just kind of cool. But those are really nice. So. Rubber gasket lasts a long time on the weck jars. I want the tall, straight sided one for sourdough. And it's just a nice, like, it's even, the glass itself is even heavier than our American canning jars. Like, that is a nice jar. So, the Inquisitive Farm Wife is here. Hello. And just so you know, there's a video coming out, Inquisitive Farm Wife. If you check out her channel, all December, different channels are posting, what we call Dipcember, a different yummy dip for your December gatherings. We have one that'll be out on Wednesday to join her playlist, but if you check out her channel now, or if you have the link, Inquisitive Farm Wife, throw it in the chat. There's already several videos up. We're the 6th one to go, but lots of creative dips if you're looking for some fun hors d'oeuvre or appetizer to bring to a gathering for Christmas.
Or make it a whole meal.
Or make it a whole meal. So, but we are excited to be involved, and it's been fun watching everyone's videos. So,
Bill is here. Hello, lots of good info. Thanks you, Bill.
For joining us. The only thing with Tattlers is the plastic lid edge may need to be smoothed from being made. We have a bit of plastic sticking out that needs filed off. Yeah. I think ours were all nice and round, but I could see how just in the factory you might have to you might have to edit it. So, hey buddy, you need help? Nana? No more snackies. We're all done with snackies. All right.
Mom.
So here's another thing we can new this year. This is
Banana.
Can you get him a banana? This is pickled onions, which I can just kind of on a whim because I saw a recipe and I was like, why not? And they're really good. And I use them. It's not relishy. It's got a lot more spices in it, a lot of pickling spice. And so it's not real tangy and sweet like a relish, but I love it on hamburgers. I'll actually put that on there and then pickles on top. It just has a really neat flavor. It doesn't have a lot of versatility as far as use goes. Like I really only use it on like hamburgers and chicken sandwiches, but it's a nice flavor. So that one was fun to have tried. So let's see. Susanna says, are you getting a fresh tree for Christmas? Yes, we have a video coming up on Saturday. We went and chopped down a tree.
It was a really neat place.
Yeah.
It's actually not far from our house, which is nice for a change. But the kids had a good fun time, and it's really family friendly place. And so now that we kind of know what it's like there, I think next year we might make a bigger day.
They had a lot of stuff for the kids to do. We weren't really sure. So we went a little later in the day, and they close when it gets dark, so we only had like an hour and a half, but we had a lot of fun. We picked a good tree. We had trouble finding one that we liked because our ceilings are really tall, but space is limited, so it needs to be skinny and tall. Most Christmas tree farms, they're fat and short, but we found a good one, so that video will be up on Saturday, though, if you want to join us on a trip to the Christmas tree farm.
And then we're kind of, I don't know, it's hard for me, I'm not gonna lie, but I've reined myself in over the years. We let the kids decorate the tree like pretty much by themselves. Like we'll help them hang some of the taller ornaments or help them put on the lights and stuff, but we pretty much let them go at the tree.
Just take that up.
But it's hard for me because like growing up, my family like wanted the tree to look really nice.
And
not like 6 kids just like threw ornaments on it. So anyway.
Well, and Pat spends more time trying to undecorate the tree. So we were chasing ornaments around the house. But last year, because he was only 18 months, we only decorated like the top half of the tree. Now he's 2.5. I feel like he's old enough to learn that we don't undecorate the tree, but we're currently in that tree.
He's like,
process.
oh, I need that ornament, and just runs
some
off
ornaments
with it.
like they jingle and stuff.
They look like
and
a
so
toy.
He's
A lot
running
of
around
them.
jingling the bells.
But
So
the kids did a good job. They have a lot of fun putting up the tree and decorating it. So we let them go for it. So
let's see. The Inquisitive Farm or Becky says, "You all make me want wick jars now. Peer pressure is strong." Yeah, when you Google them on Amazon, you see the price tag. Peer pressure becomes a little less. They are not cheap. It's like $40 or $50 for 6 jars. Those were given to me as a gift from my mother-in-law for Christmas one year, which was a really neat gift, and I enjoy using them. So let's see. Inquisitive Farm says, "I want to do balsamic onions." That sounds good.
That
Nice
does
and
sound
tangy.
good. Let's see.
What kind
Susanna
of Christmas
asked,
tree did we get? Yeah.
I don't know. I will be honest. I'm not sure exactly what kind. I should know my trees better, but I don't. We're just calling it a Christmas tree.
Christmas tree. I don't know what we got.
Maybe on Saturday, if someone wants to watch that video, you can tell us what kind of a tree we got.
They had them all like mixed in. It was just like a forest of different kinds of trees, so they weren't really labeled what they were.
Right.
So, does Sam work on Christmas? Do you spend it with extended family? No, he does not work on Christmas because he worked on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, not this year. I don't. Next year, I probably will have to, unless I can weasel out of it. But yeah, this year I get Christmas Eve and Christmas off, so very thankful for that. Get to spend it with the family, and we do spend Christmas Day. We'll just spend with our family, but then we do have
like a big family Christmas.
Yeah, usually like. I don't know, usually a Saturday after Christmas or something like that. We'll get together, but...
Sharon's... Or let's see, what do we miss?
Tinker's wife.
Tinker's wife says, giving up perfection for core memory building and a lot of fun. Yeah.
Very true.
Oh, and every year we break a couple ornaments. So when you watch that video, you'll hear the clang of the ornaments that didn't survive.
Oh, it was great.
First ornament out of the box.
One of the older girls was like, why don't we have like the nice globes, that are like pretty glass ones? We're like, listen, we tried that like 5 or 6 years ago, and you guys broke like every one.
I had
like,
25
literally.
Blue globe balls.
They're really pretty.
We have one left.
And a lot of them say that they're shatterproof.
No.
Not to our kids, they aren't.
Yeah, if you ever have something that says it's shatterproof and you want it tested, let us know and we'll bring it over our house and let you know what happens.
Let's see. Sharon says, my grandkids decorate my tree. They love doing it. That's fun. Beth says, our son is 16 months and has learned not to touch, undecorate the tree already. Awesome. That is awesome.
Angela says, my cats keep undecorating our tree. Yeah, our cats are all outside, so we don't have that problem. And the dog leaves the tree alone, which is good, so...
Charlie says, for sauerkraut, they use a recipe that is very simple and only needs to be water-bathed. All right.
Oh, okay. You have to send that to me. Try a new one.
Diane says, I let my grandkids decorate the tree. They have so much fun. Yeah, the kids love that.
And
seeing
with
all
the
the
6 of them, it took like 10 minutes to decorate.
Yeah, they're all just grabbing as many ornaments as they can. It's kind of funny.
Susanna said noble firs are less bushy looking and sort of bluish and have gaps between layers. So this one has I feel like the needles are a little bit longer. It's not a real pokey tree. No.
Yeah, I don't think we have a noble fir. I don't know. Someone's going to have to tell us.
Yeah.
So.
Douglas fir is common here, but doesn't last as long as nobles, which last the longest. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of evergreen trees, Pete is here from Vermont.
Yeah, I bet he's got all kinds of them.
He probably just goes out. Pete, do you go out in your backyard and cut your own tree? You probably have lots of choices out there. So, okay, so back to canning pantry. Another thing that we canned this year that I think I'll do again was lemon. It's called lemon butter. Sometimes people call it lemon curd. The girls are super into the Great British Baking Show, if anybody's ever watched that. Mm-hmm. And so they have been asking forever to try making puff pastry, which takes an incredible amount of time and patience. But what I've decided is that we're going to try making danishes this week as part of school, like the circle danishes. And we're going to put the lemon curd in the middle. And I think it'd be really good. But they can try making a rough puff pastry like they do on the show. Fold it and fold it and fold it and fold it and fold it. And we'll put this stuff in the middle. It's really good. But it's something that you don't eat every day. Like, it's good on certain types of muffins. I like it on an English muffin, but it was a process to make. It was a little bit complicated. I made it with my friend Adrian. You had to be like really specific about temperatures and stuff.
It's tedious.
It was tedious. Yeah, it wasn't an easy one, but it came out really well, and it's pretty yummy. It was not cost effective. It was pretty expensive to make because we don't grow lemons, and it had a lot of other stuff in it. But it's good. So I would definitely make that again. Just it only made like 3 or 4 jars, and so it's just kind of a fun one to have. It just looks nice on the shelf too. So
Let's see. Tinker's wife says to Susanna, it depends on if they are cultured or wild. Cultured ones are pretty much full.
Okay.
Susanna says, my mom let us help decorate when we were little, but later at night would rearrange everything. Heaven help us if we broke anything. And then Pete says, we sell Christmas trees with the neighbor.
Oh, okay.
Balsam firs mainly, but yes, I could cut one in the backyard.
That's a smart business plan.
Yeah.
Lemon Danishes sound delicious. I've made lemon curd and it's yummy. Yeah, I really like lemon things too. So another one we did just kind of on a whim was orange slices, and the kids love these. So these are like mandarins, the little oranges that are easy to peel.
Yeah, our
like
kids
the cuties.
Pound those things.
Every once in a while, like Aldi will have the bags for like $1.50 or $2, which is really cheap. And then I'll can a bunch in just some water, and it's a very light sugar syrup. You have like people always ask, do I have to use a sugar syrup? You don't have to for safety, but I promise you, if your kids are used to eating mandarins like from the fruit cups, even if it's the cups with no added sugar but they're canned in juice, like they won't like the flavor of just the water. So I make a very light syrup just so they have that touch of sweetness of a fresh orange, and they're so good, and the kids gobble these up. They like these just as much as they like the store-bought ones canned in juice. And if you're able to get the oranges on sale like at Aldi, it's very cost effective because you can just pints and pints and pints worth instead of buying all those individual cups. So
let's see. Veronica says, get a video of those girls making them and share with us, please. You're a great mom, Laura.
I'm going to try. We may not do a video the first time around because I have a feeling I'm going to be spending a lot of time helping, and it's hard to vlog. But if it comes out well, we might do a second round and make it into a video.
The Tinker's wife says, my niece made cranberry curd tarts for Thanksgiving. They were beautiful. She was down in Arizona, and I'm in Oregon. So not...
not a slice.
No, not a slice for Aunt Patty. Inquisitive Farmwife says lemon is my son's favorite.
Yeah, our oldest
like
just
lemon.
eats. She likes just like eat the lemon slices.
Susanna says cuties are delicious, and Sharon says I canned mandarins after seeing your video. Fantastic.
Yeah, they're really good. I really like them. Like it's just, and it's so nice just to be able to like on a busy day, like you can just open a jar, make some peanut butter sandwiches, and it's a really easy like fast lunch for everybody, and everybody's happy. So. Tinker's wife says, how do you get produce at such low prices? We never have that here in Oregon. Can you tell me? I'm a bit envious. I don't know. Some of it may be where we live, but...
Yeah, but, like, it's not like you're able to buy the mandarin oranges like that, like, once a month at that price. It's like once or twice a year.
You just see... I watched...
But some of it might just be where we live, too.
We're closer to places that grow oranges. I'm assuming oranges have to come a long way. Maybe they grow oranges in California.
I don't know.
So a lot of it is just like watching and waiting. And also we're fortunate, our little local grocery store, like our little country grocery store, they sell produce on like the last day that it's good. They put it in bags and sell it for super cheap. And a lot of times that's where I'll grab things because, sometimes they'll have like 10 or 20 pounds of bananas that are like 15 cents a pound, and then I'll grab them and dehydrate them and stuff. Or they'll have pears or tomatoes or something. It's just like, but I know a lot of big box stores don't do that. But it's just because it's a little store. So we get a lot of really cheap stuff. I mean, you have to be able to can it like that day. But that's also where I get a lot of stuff, so...
Inquisitive Farmwife says, oh yes, I can oranges too, but agree needs sugar, ruin pineapple by only using water.
And you can, like some people really don't like using white sugar, and I understand that. You can use honey, you just have to know that it's going to greatly increase your costs unless you are running your own honey business. But you can safely can with a honey syrup instead of a sugar syrup if you really don't want to use white syrup.
And
white sugar.
Tinker's wife says canning mandarins is on my short list to do this year too.
And I have noticed a lot of people, like when I was reading about it, they all use I think it's called pectinase, to get rid of the white on the oranges. I have not had any problems. We peel them good. They still have some white on them. I did not soak them in that pectinase. I do not feel like they taste bitter. The kids don't complain about it. So I feel like you can skip that step unless you really want them to look just like the ones from the store with
everybody's different.
With no pith on them. So
let's see. Susanna says, I'm in Oregon too. Beautiful,
but crazy
state. And Pete says, cost of living is so much better in Missouri versus Oregon and where I am in Vermont. Yeah, that is very true. Missouri's cost of living can be pretty cheap.
The Tinker's Wife. Yeah. Oh, that helps. So nice they do that. I get bonus buy on some things. Susanna says, I'd love to move to Missouri or Ohio. But there's lots of things we love about Missouri. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely some challenges. I mean, the grass isn't always greener. Lower cost of living states are lower cost of living because taxes are lower. But then if you, like us, have a child who has special needs, there just are not services because there aren't taxes to pay for them and things like that. So just kind of depends what you need out of life. There's some downsides to living in low cost of living areas depending on what your family needs are.
Linda says, go to a place that sell big pieces of beef, can it for yourselves in wide mouth jars, or do pints of them. Bananas, you can freeze them in the skins if you want to use. She also said...
Our kids love banana chips. Like, I will dehydrate trays and trays of bananas, and they don't even make it into a jar because the kids steal them out of the dehydrator. Can't keep up with the number of banana chips that they eat.
She also said bananas, take it out of the freezer, to unthaw them, then make cakes or muffins. And Tinker's Wife was responding to Peach and said, yes, it is expensive here. Even south of Portland, a small town, it's kind of expensive. I would have moved south after Ben died if it wasn't for the humidity.
Did you learn to can from your mom? My grandmother can, but my mom never did. Nope, my mom does not really can. I don't know. Grammy, have you ever canned anything? I don't remember.
Yeah, what?
Grammy never really canned. My grandma grew up on a dairy farm. And she knew how to can, but my grandma I was like the last grandchild born. So she was old by the time I was born. And the only thing that she canned at that point was jelly, which she did teach me how to do. But I learned how to can from the website, the National Center for Home Food Preservation, which I recommend all the time. It's very simple to use. It's all free. The recipes are all the USDA approved recipes, which is a great way to start because if you follow the steps, you're going to be safe. And so if you don't have somebody to teach you, that website, I was able to learn just by reading the website.
Yeah, you watch some YouTube videos of people too. Like I know Heidi at the Rain Country Homestead. She cans a lot. We watched a lot of her videos and stuff.
Yeah, Starry Hilder. I don't remember what her channel's called now, but she had a lot of canning videos. So after I kind of stepped through everything on the website, I would then also go watch videos. So you kind of learn two different ways. But it's definitely something you can teach yourself if you don't know somebody. I've taught several friends canning, and now I have like a posse of people that I can with. So it's kind of created a little
canning parties,
a little canning community, which is fun, and it makes the time go by faster. So
Tinker's Wife says, Mom taught me how to can, and my favorite memories are canning with her.
Yeah.
Aw,
Grammy
that's
says
awesome.
She did not can. Grammy likes to bake. Grammy still mails me cookies and yummy things.
Yes.
So.
Linda says, buy things when it's larger boxes. They're cheaper than have canned since 70 done it the Amish way.
Yeah, Amish, if you have any Amish around you, they do produce auctions in the fall usually, and you can get some really good prices. Now, it isn't stuff that they've always grown. That's kind of like I can't think, like people always think, oh, it must be all organic from the Amish community. That's not really how it works. A lot of it is stuff that they've bought in like massive bulk and then they auction it off for profit, but you can get some really good deals. So that's something to consider.
Susanna says, my grandmother canned awesome blackberry jelly. Canning is definitely a very good idea for preservation. That sounds delicious.
Linda says she got books from Ball or Curse since the 40s.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, somebody recently sent me the Ball Blue Book of Canning, which I've wanted for a long time. And I have a really old Kerr book. And those are my kind of go-tos, too. Like, for a real standard canning recipe, like, it's going to always come out great, so.
What nice.
See, Raciel says, my wife canned some amazing apple pie jam. That sounds good.
That sounds delicious.
Yes, 1870s homestead. She has some great canning videos too. She also puts a lot of canning content on Instagram if you're on Instagram. So.
And Sharon McKee says, I taught myself to can at the age of 64.
Awesome.
Good job, Sharon.
You can always learn something new. Okay, we're almost done with the things that we do again. Actually, I think we may have done everything. But I have 2 things that I think I'll never can again. And you can talk me out of this first one. It just was a disaster. It was a lot of time, and it was a disaster. Oh, we'll catch up here. I believe that we have Mennonite in our area, but I don't know where they're located. See them at the local Winn County store. Yeah, that's kind of the hard thing with the Amish, too. Like, we know they're around, but where do you go for the produce option? They're not on Facebook, so a lot of it is word of mouth. Just we know people at church, and they've been here forever, and they'll be, oh, yeah, every Saturday at 10 up at this little, they do them. You kind of have to have connections.
Pete says, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps out their
you.
channel. Thank you. The Tinker's Wife says, we have Mennonites here, good farm stands and sweet folks, but not the Amish stores like back east. Let's see. And then Becky says, love watching your canning pantry videos. Gives me ideas for my pantry that really isn't a pantry at all. Small spaces.
Yeah, and you can store canned goods anywhere that is darkish and dry and cool-ish. Like you don't want them outside in the middle of summer. So under your bed, you could put them in a linen closet. So don't feel like if your kitchen doesn't have a lot of space that you can't can. Because there are probably areas in your house where you could hide some canned goods, have them stashed around the house. So
the closest Amish to us are actually the Amish that off-grid with Doug and Stacy, that community that they live close to. And we've been up there a time or two to buy some things. It's really neat. They're neat people. One guy has all kinds of like flavored honey and stuff. It's pretty cool. Boy, we're getting a lot of comments.
Amish get semi-loads, so there were times we would have 5 bushels of peaches. Quart jars were full of peaches plus tomatoes. Yeah, it is word of mouth. You kind of have to know when it's coming in. And sometimes you also need to know your prices, because sometimes the deals aren't really deals. It just depends. But if you're patient and you know what you're looking for and what you're willing to pay, you can get a pretty good idea at their produce auctions.
Tinker's Wife says, the Mennonites are around south of Canby, down into the Willamette Valley, mostly, I believe. Hopewell Mennonite Church is not far from me, and one of the oldest.
Awesome.
All right, hit us with your what you
the disaster of canning spinach. Look at all that siphoning. So when you can spinach, you have to steam it first, which I did, which takes a long time because you have to do it in small batches. And then you stuff it in the jars and you cover it with boiling water and you can it. And spinach shrinks so much that this jar, like all these jars, I like packed them to 1/2-inch headspace, full of the water, and then when it was done, it's just like that, and it's all like horribly siphoned. It was a lot of time. It made a huge mess. I don't think there's any benefit to having it canned over just freezing bags of spinach, because you're going to use this in a cooked product anyway, just like you would your frozen one. So I will probably, unless somebody here gives me word of wisdom, I will probably never can spinach by itself again. Like this was just, it was just felt like a huge amount of effort for what did not come out very well. Yeah, did not go well for me. So, let's see. Susanna says, we never canned but froze spaghetti sauce. Canning is a better idea, especially when power fails and winter storms. And it's just freezer space is expensive per square, whatever.
I think like there are some things that it's like smarter to freeze them, and it's way more convenient to freeze some things for sure. But being able to can some things is really convenient too and nice.
Jepco's here, welcome. Check out the replay. We've done quite a few things already. And Linda says if you see a stand that sells noodles or bread, that may be an Amish place. Get to know them. They will help you out more than what you think of. Okay.
Tinker's Wife says sometimes what looks like a deal here is junk produce the farms are offloading to local stores. So you gotta kind of
gotta know.
Keep an eye out to make sure it's not just a good deal, because it's all old or bad produce.
Yeah. Tinker's Wife said dry or freeze spinach works best. Yeah, I think the frozen spinach, I just freeze the bag. Like if I see spinach that's marked down, like, it gets that orange sticker on it, says, sell by today. So it's like half price. I'll just buy it and I put the whole bag in the freezer, and then I just break off chunks when I want it in a recipe. I don't think canning provided a better quality product. It was a lot of time and had horrible siphoning issues because the spinach shrank so much even after it was steamed. So
Tinker's wife says, I roast down tomatoes into sauce or even paste and then freeze those to use for sauces of all kinds. So good. And Susanna says, our farmer's market is outrageous for prices. I get coupons from state to buy at those markets, but in Portland, prices are ridiculous. Inquisitive Farm Wife says, me too. I quit blanching spinach.
yeah, it just wasn't. I don't blanch it. I just stick the raw bag in there. It works out just fine. Let's see. Lois says we have 2 large Amish auctions near us that sell produce for spring to the end of fall. They sell a lot. They sell to a lot of grocery stores. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else would
Okay, the last thing I will make again, but I'll show you how I do it differently. So this is one of my rice mixes that I vacuum sealed, or I used to vacuum seal them. I've decided these we go through so fast, and they're already pretty shelf stable they just have rice. Like this one's a Mexican rice-a-roni mix, so it's rice and a bunch of spices. It's gonna be fine on a shelf with a lid on it for a year without being vacuum sealed. So I think in the future I won't bother doing any sort of preservation technique on these jars for any of them, except maybe the one with the Parmesan cheese, which has a shorter shelf life.
Yeah.
But we love these. I will definitely continue to make these. I dump them in the Instapot pot with a pint of water and a little bit of butter, and put it on the rice setting, and it's just ready, and it's nice and flavorful. But I wouldn't go through the effort. Vacuum sealing,
Just gonna tweak it a little bit.
yeah, it takes a long time to do each individual jar. Excuse me. And that was kind of a waste of time because we opened them so fast within a couple months. When these are on the shelf, we just blow through them because it's so easy. So
Becky's gotta go. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
the Tinker's wife says, so true. I lived in Portland for 40 years. And it was nuts how expensive things were at farmers markets. I shopped at a couple produce stores in outer Nebraska that were pretty good, or outer northeast Nebraska. Good.
One of those.
So I found even we don't go. This probably makes us sound like horrible homesteaders. We do not go to the farmers market very often.
Well,
there's a couple reasons.
It's because most of the farmers I would say a couple reasons. Most of the farmers markets around us are teeny tiny. Like they have like 4, maybe 5 vendors, which I guess maybe shouldn't keep you from going.
But they're selling things that we're already growing too. Mm-hmm. Like it's squashes and tomatoes. They do have some cool like jams and jellies, but I already make a lot of stuff like that. So it just
to go to a bigger farmers market would be
cool.
quite a big drive for us.
Yeah.
So we don't do that very often.
No.
But I don't know. Maybe this summer we can do that some more. Kayla says
Portland. Okay,
Northeast.
Okay.
Kayla says I put celery and mushrooms in my beef
good.
stew. It's so good. That does sound good.
And Tinker's wife said our markets were expensive for vendors to take part in, which was part of it. And then miles to get a city, lots of cost. Yeah, there is a lot of cost that farmers go through to be able to sell at a market. So there's a lot of. It's not just the cost of growing the item. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things to consider.
But they like for people that can't or don't like have their own garden. They're supplying that homegrown vegetables.
And it supports the local community, which is good. So in some farmers markets, like really big ones, I know are able to take like WIC cards and things for people, which helps more people be able to purchase at a farmer's market, which also helps support the farmer's market. But like really small ones, it's just cash only. That's also the other reason why we never stop, because I never have enough cash. Like I'm bad about that. I'm not a cash carrier.
Susanna says Portland sells produce for $6 to $7 a pound. And Linda says, replying to Tinker's wife, get to know the market people that will sell to you cheaper than what others are buying it for. They will ask for names and phone numbers and then trade with you later on. We have had some success just with our farm in general with trading goods and services. That does work with people. Sometimes.
You'd be surprised just like people that you meet and that want to trade things. So Veronica is going. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on. And Susanna says, I go to the cheapest stand. My coupons go quickly.
quickly.
We're probably going to have to go too because my phone's
Did I get everything?
telling us that that we're almost out of battery.
Yeah.
So we might lose you here
Well,
in the middle of the live
If
stream.
you are interested in learning to can any of the things we talked about, again, the link to the playlist is all in the description. The videos are all titled pretty simply to follow, so you should be able to find what you need. And again, don't feel like you have to grow it all yourself to can it. A lot of what I can, I do not grow. I just wait for good prices and then put it up. So Pete's leaving. We're going to head out too before this camera dies. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah,
all.
everybody have a good, safe week. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.